monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. Notice what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Just been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal, Tony. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. It's great, dude. How you doing, Corey?
It's good, man. It's good. Yeah, it's first day of November.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of bittersweet though, man, because I love October and the lead up into Halloween, and man, and then November 1st rolls around, it's like, I had such a fucking great month, and the lead up was awesome, and then boom, we're back in November. But you know, it is what it is. It's always bittersweet every time, you know.
Yeah, I will say. So we were just pre-gaming a little bit, and we were just talking about trick or treating and stuff. And so yeah, I took my kids trick or treating last night, and pretty much, honestly, it's kind of becoming a disappointment. Like, it really is. Like we've lived here for, I don't know, it's going on 8 years, 9 years, something like that, and pretty much just we got like a whole new section of the subdivision, and it was like hit or miss. There was hardly anyone doing trick or treating, passing out candy. It's really sad,
Yeah. I agree, man. Like I said, in my neighborhood, usually it's popping. But last night, man, I think our doorbell rang one time, which is very, very bizarre. Because I was expecting it to ring constantly. It's not like we had our light on or anything like that, but still people come up the house thinking that we have candy to pass out.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed with the boys this year. And even they weren't really feeling it either. They weren't really like wanting to go and do it, which is kind of bizarre to me, because they love this time of year. They love everything horror and spooky, and they thrive on that stuff. So for them to kind of be like, maybe not this year, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, try next year, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed the same thing, man. The neighborhood was kind of like, it's a little slower this year.
It really is. Yeah. It wasn't so much like our subdivision not doing it too, but like children, there was hardly any trick-or-treaters,
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. The crazy thing was, the ones that I did see, they were all like older kids. There was hardly any smaller kids going out, to door. It was mainly like older people, which was really weird. But no, it was good. That's just what was going on. I mean,
yeah.
It's changed a lot. It's changed drastically over the past couple of years, man, with everything going around.
It's sad.
Yeah, sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I hope it. I hope it picks up.
Yeah, I think it will,
so
man. If everything kind of clears up and stuff like that, it'll probably pick back up.
Yeah.
I think that's the main reason why it's not really as popular. Well, not popular, but it's not building up more of a following than it has in, of course, previous years. I mean, just everybody's concerned. There's always the cautionary parents, and there's tons of concerns out there, which is understandable. But we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully, when this shit goes away, if it ever fucking does go away, then maybe we can start enjoying,
life again,
things like this again.
I will say though, I did have a kind of a fun moment yesterday, because yesterday was October 31st, and before I took my kids out into the subdivision, we had a couple trick-or-treaters kind of early on, and there was an actual a kid dressed up as Sam, and it actually looked good. Like he had the whole getup. It looked good. Like it was almost like cosplay, really.
Yeah.
Because it looked legit, like he was from the set and everything. It was really cool. It was
Yeah,
really
the
cool.
thing is, man, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's become like a cosplay event now. The costumes are so good now, and the
Mhm.
attention to detail is so great. People really just go all out.
He had a
Like,
giant sucker with him.
yeah, it's great.
That's,
Literally, it's like cosplay. It's like going to when we go to conventions and we see people
mhm.
dressed shit like that, man. People make a big thing about it. It's crazy.
Mhm.
But the attention to detail in the costumes is fucking awesome.
Well,
Really,
I don't know. I don't know how. We're kind of going on a tangent here, but I don't know how you were, growing up with trick or treating, but for like me, my mom and my grandmother, they always made my costumes. So like I had full on costumes every year. It's pretty cool. I think there was one there was one year I was in a parade or whatever for my school, and they dressed me up as Peter Pan, and I didn't want to wear those fucking green tights. I really did not want to wear those green tights. So I'm wearing them, and of course I had like bleach blonde hair, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's Macaulay Culkin."
nice.
That's the
Oh,
kid. Hey, that's the kid from Home Alone. No.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess you could get compared to worse. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Oh man. But so this month we are doing something a little different, correct? We're gonna
correct.
be we're doing pretty much a director's spotlight on
Doing a
a
direct, but
gentleman by the name of Todd Sheets.
mm,
I so you're the one that kind of turned me on to this guy. I think so I did buy the movie that we're covering tonight. I did buy that movie um previously, not knowing anything about the movie, not knowing anything about this director. It was purely a blind buy. But it was one of my Dollar Tree buys actually.
oh wow,
So you can watch this film on Tubi, or you can watch this film, or you can go buy this film, shall I say, from Dollar Tree. Believe it or not. So
no,
for $1.
I didn't know it was at Dollar Tree. I knew it was at Walmart. That's where I picked up my copy
Mm.
uh, for a damn good price too. I was surprised as hell when I saw it there because I'm familiar with Todd Sheets. I'm familiar with his work. So when I saw it there, I know it had an Indigo, I believe, and I kind of missed out on that. And then when I found out it was like available at Walmart, I thought it was just one of those online things, and I didn't think it would be available in store. But sure enough, it was there. The price was great, so I was like, man. But the cover art looks fantastic, man. The cover, like,
Cover art's what sold me.
yeah, it gets you, dude. It's fantastic cover.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit before. So like I said, I didn't know much about Todd Sheets um going into this review or anything. I think I knew of one of his films because I had mentioned to you. So I went on like a mini movie hunt over the weekend,
Yeah.
and ended up in one of our favorite spots in North Carolina, and I saw Clown NATO, and I told you I found Clown NATO up there for like, I forget how much I found it for. It was going for stupid money, like $17.99 or something. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to buy this for that price.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, oh man, you should have bought that. That was a great movie. I'm
Oh,
kicking myself for it.
yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun.
So
I mean,
that's
quite though. Well, Fye, their prices are just fucking outrageous, though.
mhm.
So I don't blame you for not picking it up. I mean, because it's hard to justify buying a DVD for over $15 now, just
It
because
really is.
they're so obsolete now, and Blu-rays become such a big thing.
Yeah.
It's just hard to justify that. So I understand completely. Um,
It was hard to justify buying any of those Blu-rays too, because like I was finding Scream Factories and Arrows all day long in there, and it was like, fuck, I don't want to spend $40 on one movie.
movie, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's crazy.
no, that's
They had
the
they
they're bad.
had they had the Scream Factory of It's Alive, the box set.
Oh, the pot, yeah.
for $44. And it's like, and I looked on Amazon, it was $22. I was like, really?
Yeah, FYE, man, you got to step your game
Terrible.
up. It's just ridiculous.
I don't know. I miss the place, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, same here, same here.
I
But yeah,
think
that's
go ahead.
honestly what spurred us to do this director spotlight is because you mentioned that, and I was like, oh man, I was telling you kind of about his filmography and stuff like that, and you were like, yeah, man, we should definitely like dive into his filmography and do like a, because we had been talking about doing a director spotlight for a while now because we kind of miss doing it. We haven't done one in a minute, so
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is he pretty much an independent director? Like he's straight up an indie director, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what kind of confused me because he's been making films since like the 80s. I think his first film came out in what, 85? Or something like that. I've checked out his filmography and he has like 51 directing credits.
Yeah, he's been working steadily for a long time.
But I mean, just over the course of from the 80s up to even now, he's got films all the way, and they do look very indie-ish.
They are.
I like some of the cover arts reminded me of a lot of like kind of like early Trauma or even Acid Bath Productions.
Yeah, it's about
You know?
yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I think that's one thing about Todd Sheets. For his physical releases of his films, that the cover art's always been on point, man. They look so fucking good. Like they draw you in. It's that classic case of like being in the movie store, you know, and or being in like a mom and pop video store, looking at the cover art from all these horror films and being your mind wanders and you be like, oh man, you start thinking about the craziest shit is going to be in this film and this and that. And usually with Todd, he delivers, man. He does. Yeah, he has some fun ideas rolling around in his movies. He really does. And when you bring him on, when you bring it, you sit down and watch it, and you watch it at home. You're like, wow, man, surprised that he was actually able to get this in this movie.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing about this film that we're covering is it's definitely out there.
Well, yeah, I guess we're gonna start getting into it. So I will forewarn everybody that we'll talking spoilers. Of course, it's kind of a newer film, so we will be talking spoilers in detail. So if you haven't checked it out before and you're thinking about checking it out, now mind you, I will give you a warning. It is an indie horror film, so if that's not really your scene, you don't really like the indie scene, you're probably not going to dig this. I get it. It's selective when it comes to indie horror. Me and you are pretty big proponents of indie horror. We love it. It's fun to see like interesting ideas that aren't hindered by a studio, that are brought to screen, and it's really cool. It's so different than studio horror films. But like I said, I'll preference by saying if you don't like indie horror, if you don't like low budget horror filmmaking, then you're probably not going to dig this or any of his films. But for the ones that do, that really enjoy it, you're gonna enjoy it. So just want to preference that out the gate. Because you do have a good indie feel in this movie and in most of his films.
Yeah.
Most of all of his films.
I mean, Clown NATO.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the titles alone and it screams indie. Like Bonehill Road, Dreaming Purple Neon, which is a fucking great title. I love that title.
That's a cool title, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm about to sit down and watch like an Italian film.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's got wow. We're probably going to be covering that one later on in the month, so we'll just hold off on that. But yeah, another movie with fucking phenomenal cover art. Like I said, these covers that for his films are just awesome. So,
yeah.
All that painted artwork, which I love so much.
Oh yeah. I mean, and like you said it kind of perfectly. It's what draws you into the movie.
You right,
the majority of the films that the majority of the films that we buy solely on the cover art, really. When
it comes to indie stuff, absolutely.
Definitely. But yeah. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and get into it. But you were also covering. You said if you haven't seen it, go out and check it out. It is free on Tubi, like I said, and also it is at Dollar Tree for $1. Can't go wrong with that. An indie film for $1. It's good for what it is.
Absolutely.
And I believe it's isn't an RLJ release or something.
No, it's Wild Eye.
Wild Eye. That's it. I mean, but it's still a Wild Eye for $1.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
that's good. Good. Yeah.
Would snag them if you see them. Definitely snag a copy.
Oh yeah. Anytime I'm in Dollar Tree and I see Wild Eye Productions, I snag it up, regardless of what the title is. But yeah, man. Yeah, you want to get into it? You want to go over the quick synopsis?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, we have our two main characters. It's a mom and a daughter, Emily and Eden. Emily is in a very abusive relationship with her husband, who's a complete asshole to her and just a nightmare. And she's fucking finally had enough, and she's ready to get out and just run and just get her daughter and go.
Mhm.
And basically, that's what she does. She leaves. He chases her down. They take off. She's on the road. She's got a ways to go before she gets there. She's going to go to her dad's house to kind of, stay low and stuff like that until she can kind of set up some things. And on the way there, she runs into a werewolf or two, and the car breaks down. And basically, her and her daughter are on the run trying to escape these pack of werewolves.
Yeah.
That's the sport of it anyway. But yeah, I did want to get your take on something, Corey, because I know you're a big fan. Did you see when the opening credits start rolling? Did you see the Shaw Brothers logo kind of homage?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, dude. I thought of you as soon as
Oh.
I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, it's Shaw Brothers, absolutely.
I'm
Definitely.
gonna have to go back and look at that now.
That logo and everything, but it was a different company, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh.
But yeah, this being like your first kind of foray into like Todd Sheets and stuff like that, what was your initial thoughts going into this, man?
I wrote down, I jotted some things pretty much right off the rip on things I liked and things I disliked. Because I really should have went at it a different way. This was a first time watch for me and a first time ever watching any of his films. So I didn't really know what I was expecting. I was actually expecting something like really cool because just the cover art alone, again, it drew me in. And
can't stress that enough, man. It sucks you
Yeah.
right in. You're in for a werewolf film. I mean, there's no denying it. Look at that.
And that's the thing. Like, I didn't know that I was going into an independent film, really. Because I like I said, the cover art looks really good, stuff like that, and then from Wild Eye Productions. So I was expecting something. I guess you would say more of a bigger budget type deal. But this instantly felt very low budget and stuff like that, which is fine. I do not have a problem with low budget films. I actually embrace them and love them a lot more. The banter, like after she clocks her husband across the head with that fucking frying pan, that shit was fucking hilarious. It had me fucking rolling. And then the best line after that, because she knocks him out with the frying pan, because he apparently, like, the daughter comes home while he's got his wife like slammed down on the kitchen table, and he's like fucking just dumping her purse on top of her and shit, and she's all bloodied up and bruised up in the face, which it was crazy because the whole time I was watching this film, I was like, is she having a reaction to the fucking makeup? Because like her face was just fucking red like the entire time they were filming. So I was like, I wonder if she's having an allergic reaction to the makeup or something.
Did notice that too, man.
In certain shots, she was like even very puffy. Like That wasn't makeup. That was actually like skin reaction to something happening.
I don't know.
But the line delivered, hands down. So she hits him across the fucking head. She snatches her daughter out of the room. She's like, "Let's go." And then her daughter goes, "What if he's dead?" She looks at her daughter and goes, "Good riddance."
Yeah, he's a scumbag piece of shit though, man. I can't. Yeah, I've always like hated that whole thing with domestic violence and shit like that. Guys that do that shit, and of course, I mean it's people like that are just the biggest pieces of shit. So when I see stuff like that, it's like, oh, this fucking guy, man. You just fucking just hate this guy.
I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more. Like he knew where she was going, so he followed.
That's what I thought too, man.
And
when I first saw this, I thought that was going to be a thing, and I
kind of wanted to see him get ripped apart by the wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing him get his just due would have been fucking great. I agree. That's a missed opportunity for sure.
Definitely. But there's a lot of missed opportunity for this film.
Yeah, his overacting is just fucking bad, man. He's like theatrically a fucking douchebag. Like it's amazing how he's able to, in that short amount of time, that quick little, segment. It's just his fucking overacting is great. It's amazing.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's one thing that I did not care for in this entire film was the acting from any of the actors.
Really?
I will say that. Like I get where I felt compassion when the mother, passed away. We'll get to that later on, and stuff like that. But I get what they were going for with the acting and stuff, but for me, it was just it had, and again, it was that low budget acting, which is fine. Again, I didn't have a big problem with it, but when there was certain actors actually trying to sell their performance, and it's like you're just not cutting it.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Linnea Quigley, she overdid it in this movie for me. And it's like me and Linnea. I love Linnea Quigley. I've watched her for years in all these different films, and then just this one, she was just not my favorite performance. It's kind of similar to when she acted in The Barn.
The Barn.
Yeah. I almost got a similar. It's almost like kind of like her. I don't want to sit here and say like her acting has gotten bad over the years, because I know she's a good actress, but it didn't feel like her heart was in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and her scenes were so short. She wasn't in the movie long at all.
No,
at all. But I think it's funny, man. The girl that played Eden, I thought she was great. Like her acting was really good. I think she's probably the best actor in the movie.
Yeah, I will say that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Really did feel for her. I wrote that down. I was like, this girl is. She's something. She really is. I thought she delivered her lines great. They were realistic. Her reactions were realistic. She did a great job, and I think she was the best in the movie, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree to that. I think there's even a shot where she's like just sitting. It's a silent shot where there's no dialogue between her and her mom, and they're just sitting there. And I think at one point they're playing ball. They're playing like catch, which I didn't really care for that shot. But the shot where they were just sitting outside of like I think it was a QT gas station actually, because that's what it said on the cups was QT. But where they were just sitting there, it looked like it was a natural scene between a mother and a child.
Child, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think she did a fantastic job, man. She really sold it. My thing with this movie is, and I did not expect this when I first popped this in, I love the structure of this movie. I really do. It's so different. So first, in the first half, you have almost like a family drama, and then it kind of shifts a little bit into like a werewolf film when they're trapped in the car and the werewolves are around them and they,
Mm-hmm.
they can't get out, they're worried. And then it shifts from that into like a serial killer movie. And then at the end, it flip-flops back into a werewolf film. So it kind of like takes different avenues and stuff like that. And I really like that. It's so ambitious for like a film
Mm-hmm.
that's this low budget to do that.
It's definitely a roller coaster of what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, but I like that. It's different. It's not the same structure you would get in a typical werewolf film where you would have these characters and that the werewolves, of course, would be the main threat because, of course, in a werewolf film, that's good. That's what the only would be on. But you have multiple threats in this movie, and I thought, like we were talking about earlier, a missed opportunity was for the husband to be another threat. So you would have 3 threats in the movie where you would have the serial killer character, you'd have the werewolves, and then you have the husband. So it's like, all in all, it's just a bad situation for them to be in.
Well, the bad thing is like, so one thing I did notice, like, throughout this film, and I actually went to work today and I thought about this film a lot more before going into this review. And the one thing I did notice is that so you follow Emily and Eden throughout this entire film, and the poor women are just put through hell throughout the entire film, and it seems like it is just getting worse and worse for these two. First she's with an abusive husband, they leave. Next they meet this creepy ass guy at a fucking rest stop, they quickly leave. And then they get attacked by werewolves out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And then they end up at this creepy ass guy's house, who is a fucking serial killer. Oh, wait a minute. He's not just a serial killer. Fucking cannibal.
He's a cannibal too. Yeah.
and then lo and behold, now the house is now getting attacked by those same werewolves.
It's fucking really. There's like no characters. Like it's
no.
Like one after another. They get bombarded with like bad situation after bad situation. It's like, fuck, man. You really feel for them going through this whole thing because it's like, well, where the fuck is there a bright light of hope?
When badass grandpa shows up,
right? It's so dour and depressing. But I don't know, man. The structure just gets me. I like that because it's so different, and I like the little touch with they see the Bonehill Road sign. Like that was a nice little touch. And Todd does that a lot in this film where he has nice little touches where you see he cuts to a shot of the full moon. And so you know what's going on. And he'll go to a shot of the full moon. And there's different shots of the moon in this movie. There's one shot that really like I was confused with because the moon was so fucking close to the earth. It was almost like on a collision course with Earth. It was crazy. Yeah,
I've never noticed that. It was like huge as hell.
Before it was like, what the fuck?
I'm wondering if that was CGI'd or something because I did catch myself thinking that. I was like, I wonder if that's CGI'd, but I mean, it worked. Yeah, because it was behind trees, so it silhouetted the trees just right.
But it kind of takes you into like this otherworldly, feel for a minute because it's like that. You never see the fucking moon that close to the earth. It's crazy. It's weird. It's like off-putting. Yeah. And you're kind of taken aback by it. But that, like I said, just one scene. But I love the fact that he cuts to a shot of the full moon. And even in the opening credits, you see a shot of this blood red full moon. And it's really neat. I like that. Just little touches here and there that, with low budget filmmaking, it's very ambitious and it works for me. I dig that.
Well, one thing I did write down was, and this is kind of contradicting itself a little bit for this film. So the first shots that I seen, and this was early on too, but it was also throughout the entire film, is how shaky the fucking camera is. I couldn't stand it because it was like, here he was, and it was almost like he was just trying to be still, but you could tell he was just like doing this with the camera or something. And I mean, it was just fucking shaky. But then he had some really amazing shots, some really good scenery shots that just I mean, they were really nice. The shots of the woods and stuff, just really, really pretty, So I dug it. I kind of saw past all the shakiness, and because on those scenery shots, it was like he had the camera on a tripod and he was just kind of moving it a little bit, you know.
More steady, yeah.
It was more steady, but so it made up for it. The shakiness filming in the house kind of worked because there was a lot of action, there was a lot of movement in that house, so that kind of worked for him. So I didn't see it then, but like the shots where they were like in the car and stuff, shakiness, I couldn't deal with it. I was like, oh my God, this is bad. But everywhere else was great.
Man, I gotta say, real quick, and I know we're gonna touch on this because, of course, it is a werewolf film. The look of the fucking werewolves, dude, so fucking awesome, so good.
They were really gnarly.
They were gnarly as fuck, and each one of them was different. That's the thing; they weren't uniformed. They didn't all look the same. Each one of them had a different look, and I love that. They were more unique.
Yeah.
And very practical. The practical effects, of course, like no CGI'd werewolves and shit like that. And this was all practical.
Thank God.
Thank God, right? Because it would have been, and that's one thing with Todd I appreciate is he does have an emphasis on practical effects, and he utilizes it, and I love him for it. Thank you, man. I love the fact that you're using practicals in your movies.
Hands down, that's the best way to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, CGI werewolves would have looked, oh man, just god awful. They
felt like we were watching Underworld.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been it would have been uniform. They wouldn't have stood out and had their own characteristics.
You know what they reminded me of? Reminded me of Howling. They reminded me of the Howling.
Werewolf in particular kind of had me thinking Howling for sure. I dug the hell out of that, man. I loved it. Every time the werewolves were on and they were using the effects, I was like, dude, this is so cool. I love seeing practical werewolves. I've seen so many bad fucking werewolf films with terrible effects.
Yes.
Even terrible practical effects. Like, man, it's so tough to do. And I applaud him for it because werewolf films, there's a reason there's not too many werewolf films because they're hard to do. It's hard to work with those animatronic, the puppets. Like, it's hard to do that, man.
And here's the thing. So did you happen to look up the budget for this film?
I did not. I'm curious if you had.
I did.
Okay.
So it was an estimated $13,500. That's it.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah.
So for what they did with this film, I applaud them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it wasn't just the werewolves. It was everything. Special effects, the gore. The gore was amazing in this film. And then even down to the sets. The sets look good. The lighting was good. Editing was good. I didn't find anything wrong with the editing at all in this entire film. Down to I really loved the score. There was some metal tracks in there thrown in there, and I loved it. It worked for what this film was. So hands down, I have a lot of things that kind of contradict with one another with this film. A lot of mixed feelings with this film, really. Some bad qualities, but yet there's some good qualities. And there's a lot more good qualities than bad qualities. And, I was realizing that even thinking about it today. So we'll say that.
Outweigh the bad?
They kind of do, in a sense. Like the whole situation, like I want to take a step back from the werewolves a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to get back into talking about the look of the werewolves in a little bit, but the main thing I'll kind of want to talk about real quick is this whole serial killer aspect. I think there's a really bad like missed opportunity in this scenario, because for the longest time I was kind of catching myself wondering like, why are these werewolves just sitting outside of this house? Why aren't they, like, they know they're in there? Why aren't they just fucking attacking and going after it, you know?
Yeah.
Why did they why are there so many shots of them just standing outside of this house? And I thought about it. I thought, well, this guy is like murdering these people and he's like cutting them up and cooking them. Is he serving them to the werewolves? So that's where my mindset was like, is he taking care of these werewolves? Is he like the alpha of this pack? And so, like, I think that was a missed opportunity right there. I think that they could have, it would have been a more believable storyline had he actually went that route, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of
Cool.
this, what's Rhett Tanner, that's the killer's name, you know, had Rhett been, like, kind of the alpha male of the pack, and he was, like, providing the food for his pack, I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, well, you're right about it, man. Because like I said, there's a lot of shots where they're just hanging around the house. They don't really go in and
Yeah.
act. They don't. I mean, the house isn't fortified up until that point, so it's like they can easily bust in and kind of take charge and wreak havoc. I mean, there'd be no problem at all. Which is one thing I do find at the end is a little hilarious. It's straight up hilarious. It's not even funny. It's But I guess we'll get to it when we get there. But yeah, man, that's a good point. Kind of a missed opportunity. I would love to have known more, like what the ambiguity of that was and why they wouldn't, attack, especially when they knew, like you said, they knew that there were people in that house and that something was going. Even with the music playing and stuff like that, like it's drawing their attention.
Mm-hmm.
They know that something's going on in the house, and there's food in that house, and they're just kind of hanging around, waiting, biding their time. I don't know if they're just talking or what. I don't know, but for a long period of time, they were doing that, and there was because, like I said, the middle part of the movie is really fixated and focused on the serial killer angle.
Mm-hmm.
See him psychologically torturing these women and putting them through absolute hell. And even like when he kind of tries to feed that one girl her own flesh, like that's fucked up. That's really
yeah, that's pretty sick. And then like got pissed off with her and stabbed her with a fork.
Right, right in her tit. Yeah, it's fun. It really is, man. The psychological torture is like, it's rough, man.
Yeah,
like breaking these poor women down, especially the one chick. Like she's like, but there's another missed opportunity there too when he he stabs her in the hand, pins her hand to the table, and then just kind of leaves her there with her other hand free, to where she can easily just yank that knife out, which she does, and then frees the women, and then they attack him. I was like, well, that's weird. Why would you just leave one of her hands free and then just I don't know. It's maybe he was just there's no way
they didn't have a big enough budget for two knives.
You just took both of them, right? Yeah, because I mean, they wouldn't have attacked them and they wouldn't have got free if that were the case. But that's something that happens. I mean, that happens in movies. There's plenty of nitpicks you can have with stuff like that. So there's another nitpick I have with that. Like, how is this grandpa able to hold the door down from these fucking werewolves, and they're trying to break in, and he's the one holding? There's no fucking way, man.
But I oh man, dude, I actually wrote that down. I put right here, werewolves that can't break glass ?
Yeah. Well, he's like the most, and nothing against the actor, so he's like the most frail, grandfatherly old man, and he's holding this fucking door, fortifying this house just himself against these werewolves. It's like, that's not really believable.
Go get me a 2x4.
Yeah, go get me a 2x4. And
what's that gonna do?
She takes her time, like, I mean, it's a good scene when she's skulking around down there trying to find a 2x4, and then what happens with the werewolves. But it's also like, you got to pick up the pace, girl. Your grandfather's struggling up there. hold these werewolves back, and he's doing it pretty much on his own. You got to
I
hurry
just,
up
I
a little.
just, I love the fact that like the werewolves walk up and okay, so when you think of like the myth of werewolves and stuff like that, they have like superhuman strength, right?
Oh yeah,
They're
absolutely.
they're very strong. Okay, so here they are at this like glass door, and they're just like pounding on it and cannot break it.
Can't break it. Yeah,
And I'm just like,
they would have. No, they would
what?
have ripped the door off the hinges with Grandpa attached to it and flung his ass. I mean, there's no question about
Fuck out of here, you geriatric.
it. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, man. There's there's a couple of moments like that where you're like, huh? Okay.
Yeah, it was again another missed opportunity. I think that I don't know the whole situation where they were fortifying the house just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It was definitely a little clunky. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean I get the vision that they were going for, but it wasn't successful in my eyes. But that again, that's me nitpicking an indie film, and I really should go at it at a different approach, really. um.
No, but I mean, the valid points though, man. There's some stuff that's like, well, yeah, absolutely. Logically, that doesn't make much sense. So,
But at the end of the day, it's still just a movie.
yeah, absolutely. Even the best horror movies usually find nitpicks. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it happens.
yeah. So I will say, so now getting back to so the werewolves are now attacking this house. But again, I kind of so the approach that I was kind of hoping it was going for was kind of like a Lake Placid type approach,
Mhm.
where the old man was or the serial killer was just kind of feeding the wolves, you know?
Keeping them at bay, yeah, from attacking him. They kind of
Yeah.
have like a scenario played out where it's like, I take care of you, you take care of me.
Hmm. So that's what I was kind of hoping for, but it didn't happen. I did like the fact that when they finally attacked the serial killer, I love the whole shot where they're like ripping his neck apart, and he's like, "Choke on it."
Oh, yeah, I wrote that down. Day of the Dead.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, definitely caught that. Oh, that
Yeah.
was another thing, man. I couldn't figure this shit out at all. When the girls finally like banded up and attacked him, the serial killer or Rhett Tanner, one of them took a knife and like stabbed him in the dick, and, like
Yeah,
balls off, like his
yeah,
nuts. But he was still able to get around and stuff. Like, there's no fucking way, dude. This guy,
yeah. No, you take a knife to me, that's it.
that's it. Like, you're not. So that made me think for a minute, like maybe he is a fucking werewolf. Like,
Mm.
possible. I mean, no one can take that.
So I wonder if the script was written that way and there was a last minute change or something.
Well, he kind of looks like a werewolf too. He's got the long hair. He's kind of scraggly. It's like,
Right.
okay, you could see it. I mean, it's cliche as all hell, but I could see it. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know, man.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I really thought they were going for that approach, and then
Yeah.
it did not happen.
When I first saw the movie, I kind of thought the same. I thought that was the direction they were going to go in, but then they kind of veered it in the other direction. I was kind of like, whoa, okay, well, I didn't expect that, but because especially when they attack him when he's out there and they just rip him apart. Fuck, man. I thought
Yeah.
this dude was like, I thought he had a lot more to do with their colony than what we first let on. I don't know, man. It kind of surprised me. With you there, and I understand this being your first time watching the movie, you kind of felt the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought they were going that approach. So let's talk about Lucy.
Oh man, this poor chick. Another one.
Dude, she gets so fucked up. So
Yeah.
she's missing skin on her leg. Then they pour peroxide on her, just torture in itself.
Right, yeah. Trying to bandage her up and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but still scenes like that are always ugh.
Then they carry her down to the was it like the kitchen area or whatever, and there's a wolf breaking in, and I guess she gets too close, and he just bites the living piss out of her neck. Doesn't kill her. but she ends up turning. And
I was about to say, it has a nasty effect on her later, though.
oh man. So I will say, okay, so, and again, this is two points I'm wanting to make here that kind of contradict themselves. The transformation was fucking awesome. I mean, the nails coming out of the hands, the nails coming out of the fucking feet.
Yeah.
Her back bulging, her fucking face, coming out and stuff. So that's what confused me, okay? Because like she had these big teeth all of a sudden, her eyes were changed, her ears were coming out, you saw actually seen her face coming out. And then when you finally see her when she transforms, she's just a female werewolf. She reminded me of like, so the effect that was coming out at that transformation moment reminded me of the first shot that you see of the transformation in The Howling. Okay, that's what that reminded me of. And then next thing you know, when you fully see her as a full she-wolf, it looked like Lon Chaney.
Yeah.
Like Lon Chaney Jr. werewolf. I was like, oh, but she didn't have the long snout or anything. She looked cute.
Yeah.
She looked adorable. I was like, what the fuck happened?
I was thinking this, man, when I was watching that scene, and it really dawned on me. It's like the werewolf in horror films, the werewolf transformation scene, is that some of the most effective body horror in horror? I mean, it really is, dude. The body contorts, and it looks, every like transformation scene you ever see when someone's transforming into a werewolf, it looks so fucking painful and awful and terrible. I mean, all the adjectives I could think of. The body horror is so fucking good, though, man, because you really pay that feeling of like, oh man, this is so fucking painful and just terrible, like a terrible situation to be in. Fucking and then having to do that constantly, having to go through that pain, because you never see a wolf transformation scene and it never looks pleasant. It always looks fucking awful. So I mean, to me, and I thought about it a lot when I watch werewolf films, man, it's some of the most effective body horror that you can have, aside from like Cronenberg. I mean, it looks fucking just like a terrible experience. And it always looks like that constantly. It's never changing. Yeah. Like I said, never seen a pleasant werewolf transformation scene where it didn't look amazing. So
yeah, it definitely looked, because like even like you could hear her bones crunching and moving,
bones cracking, the like I said, the back bulging out, and it just looks fucking agonizing.
Yeah, it was definitely a neat transformation though.
Yeah, dude, it was killer for a low budget flick to get a transformation scene like that, man. And I think that's what the hardest thing for a werewolf film is not only to get the werewolf look right, but to also have an effective transformation scene. Like I said, there's so many things with werewolf films that if you don't get right, it doesn't work. And I think that's why there's not a lot of werewolf films, because a lot of people maybe not be up to the task to get that done. I mean, it's so hard to do. So when I see it done on an indie level like this, I'm so fucking impressed, man.
I was so Lucy was like basically walking around with her boobs showing the entire time in this film. I was you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that when she turned into a werewolf, like she was gonna have teats. Like she was gonna have like dog boobs or something.
Are you saying another missed opportunity, man?
It was. But I can't get over how bad she looked when they turned her into a werewolf though, because like the whole transformation, everything looked good, and then like when she jumps on the car or the truck at the end, when she jumps on the hood of the truck, she's got like this really pretty long hair and stuff like that, and it's like What the fuck happened?
Werewolf cosplay.
It looked rough. I didn't care for the look of Lucy after she turned. But
But
yeah,
that transformation scene, fucking awesome.
hands down. I wasn't expecting. I thought for as low of a budget as this film was, I was expecting it to like cut to like her having the eyes, the teeth, and the next thing you know, the camera turns in the kitchen and boom, she's a werewolf.
Understood.
I was expecting that to happen. So this was a pleasant surprise, really. So yeah. Yep. Yeah, so we talked about all this other stuff. The gore of this film
Man,
was
the gut, so much gut spillage in this movie.
it really was. Just the nastiness of it, when he was gutting Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was brutal. Like most, and again, it went unexpected because, she got stabbed in the gut with a knife. Okay. And the next thing you know, he's just like straight, just jabbing and turning this blade. And there was this like weird white, bloody meat that was just kind of, he was just playing with the knife.
Yeah, it looked visceral.
And then her large intestines just plopped onto the floor.
Which I see that shot a lot, especially independent horror, with just intestines just plop on the ground. I see it so much. It's almost
it's effective though.
Yeah, it is. It really is effective, man. But you know what? Surprisingly, she does not get nude on the Quigley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that often anymore, apparently.
She has to get naked.
Well, the last couple films that I've seen her in, she hasn't.
Oh, in the barn, no nudity. No. Movie, nope, no nudity. So.
What about Hunters? When she was in Hunters, did she?
It's been so long, I don't remember. It really has. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I can't remember for sure.
Hands down, still love her.
Yeah, she's great, man. She's such a sweet lady too. I met her a couple times. She's so fucking nice.
I'm jealous. I'm gonna meet her one day. I'm gonna get Return of the Living Dead signed.
Yeah, man. She loves doing she's done Mad Monster, I think, a couple times. So.
Yeah.
Good chance.
Hopefully.
She's always.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the gore of this entire film.
Gore's great.
Yeah, there's even the when the like you said when the people are getting ripped apart by the werewolves and stuff. Just awesome.
Really looks like ripped apart by werewolves.
Yeah, I mean I think one scene you see like the killer, his arm gets ripped off, and it looks realistic. I kind of wanted to see the shot of where the knife actually comes out of the hand. I don't believe you get to see that. I think you see the knife under the table, and then you see her pull it out, and it's like a bloody knife.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wanted to see that shot of her actually pulling it out of her hand. I thought that would have been cool.
Would be a nice little touch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of missed opportunity with this film, but there's, like I said, there's good that outweighs the bad in this film.
Well, the one thing about this movie that didn't work for me personally was like that montage scene at the end with the mom and the daughter. That whole scene, and then that music is like, oh God, that was. And then it cuts to credits with that same music playing. It's like, oh man, what the hell? Like that just didn't work for me personally. I thought that was awful because we get through the emotion of these two characters as a mother and daughter that really care about each other. We followed their journey throughout this whole movie. We didn't need that to emphasize that they care about each other and they love each other. Like we didn't need that. That wasn't needed.
Because we already knew that pretty much.
I mean, this mom went through hell for her daughter to kind of to get her out of a shitty situation and save her. Like we know she cares 100% about her and she loves her.
And then at the end of the movie, the grandfather reminds the daughter of that.
Yeah.
It's like your mother, she always loved you.
Yeah. She always loved you. Yeah, she's well, as soon as you were born, it changed her whole perspective and this and that. Like
Yeah, it's like
they really tried to hammer that shit home.
they really
Like,
didn't. Yeah, that didn't need to be in there because of the whole shot where the mother was like, or where she looked at her dad and she was like, "Take care of Eden," and then she lets the wolf in and the wolf drags her down into the basement.
yeah. Well, she sacrificed herself for her to get away. So
Yeah.
she loves. I mean, she obviously cares about her daughter enough to sacrifice her life so she will be able to get out and escape. So
Right.
I mean, it just seemed like so in your face and like it didn't need to be there. It really did. Really didn't. That was one of my main problems with that was that whole sequence and that whole even the music. The music was oh god, it's just so Lifetime channel and just it just didn't work. Just did not work.
When Hallmark creates a werewolf movie.
Right. Well, I wrote that down at the beginning. I was like, this is a mother daughter. What did I write exactly? I said not your typical mother daughter bonding movie at all.
You know what movie actually did that well though? Is Monster.
The Monster. Yep, there
Yep.
you go. Oh yeah, that did that whole thing so well.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to compare that. I'm not going to do that. But right, I agree. The Monster was fucking awesome. That's a great movie. Hidden gem, man. More people.
It really was. Yeah, that was actually a blind buy. My wife actually picked that up, just on a whim. And I love that movie. Such a good movie. Again, strong women. I love strong women, and I love character building. That movie has both of them. And you could tell this film definitely has character building in this film too.
No, like I felt the characters' emotion and stuff like that. That's why I didn't need that scene because I know that these two cared about each other. They went through hell together. Like you don't need that. It's unnecessary. I don't know. That was
in the end, it seems like the mother had fully become a strong person, because you can tell in the beginning she wasn't a strong person. She was, kind of weak and frail due to being in an abusive situation. And throughout this film, you could see the progression in the mother. Now she's organizing these girls to fight back against the serial killer, and then ultimately sacrificing her life so that her daughter will live. Man, that's a strong person,
Yeah, like that.
So,
I completely agree.
This is 100% character development.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on this film?
Man, like I said, it just wanted to. It just ended on a sour note for me because of that whole sequence. Not the best way to end it. I mean, just didn't need that in there at all, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, man. Honestly, I just know that these characters, they've already been bonded, of course, and you could tell that even in the beginning of the movie that the mom was willing to do anything to protect her daughter from a shitty situation where an abusive ass parent or abusive ass dad is in the picture. So she wants to save her from that life. Almost start a new life with her. And it's like, fuck, man. And just bad timing, with everything. It's almost like destined, like fate was against them.
Yeah.
Well, against mom anyway. I mean, but dude, I forgot to bring up the pregnancy thing. So the mom, the point to tell her, the daughter, that she's pregnant. And I was like, that makes it even more fucked up than what happens at the end. Because it's almost like the Debbie thing in Friday the 13th Part 3, where she makes a case to say, hey, I'm pregnant a couple of times. She says that in the movie, and then she ends up dying. So it's like, was that in there just to solely bring more emotion out of her death? I mean, I don't know. Because, it's almost a throwaway line. Like, why was she pregnant at all in the movie? I mean, it makes sense to get more emphasis to get out of the situation. I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. But then it also kind of plays on the fact that it might pull more emotion out of
the viewer. Yeah.
chance to. Yeah, she didn't have a
Yeah,
chance.
because I even found myself kind of like, she died. She was
Yeah.
pregnant,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's sad,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm with you. It was kind of in a sense, a throwaway line, really, like you said.
Well, I thought about it, and I was like, no. I mean, it kind of makes sense. That's another motivational factor for her to get away from the husband, and this is that. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, they didn't need to add that because the Eden is the main motivation. You want to get your daughter out of that situation,
It's extra motivation for her to get out.
because
Like,
at some point the husband was going to end up getting abusive with the daughter because he was like beating the shit out of her door trying to get to her.
she explains that too. She's like, and I guess it's that situation where she deals with it as long as the daughter. I don't know how it's supposed to be in the movie, but she's dealt with it for so long, and then finally knowing that she's pregnant, she didn't want to bring another child into the world and have to live in an environment like that. So that was her final kick in the pants to go, hey, I need to get out while I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that pregnancy was a big motivational thing for her to be like, yo, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of this situation. So, I get it. That makes sense. But I forgot. Yeah, I didn't want to end the discussion without bringing that up.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. So overall, what's your thoughts? What's your rates?
So when I went to review when I went to review it on Letterboxd, I gave it a 3.5 star review out of 5. I dug this movie. Like I said, my favorite thing was the structure. I like how it was not structured like a typical werewolf film. Kind of took a break in the middle, and then went straight back into werewolf carnage. I love the look of the werewolves. I think they look fucking awesome. Each one of them is unique, different. They each have I mean, you kind of wish you got a little bit more. Of course, you kind of always wish you get more werewolf carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little higher body count, of course, but that's just me. I want to see more carnage and stuff like that in a movie like this, with the gore and effects being so well done. There's some missed opportunities. That whole ending sequence with the montage and the music this didn't work for me at all. Some missed opportunities, like we said, like we talked about and stuff like that. But overall, man, this is a fun little movie. A lot of heart and a lot of soul is put into this production. So it's so cool seeing, even through the process of the Indigo, Todd trying to get this film off the ground and have it out there for people to see. It was really cool, seeing that whole process play out. And then having it released in Walmart of all places. So it's like everything comes around full circle. A lot of ambition into this production. You could tell it's a guy that wanted to make a werewolf film for a long time and finally got an opportunity to do it his way. Really cool to see that, man. I think a solid 3.5 star is going to work, and I enjoyed it, man, for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I saw a lot of missed opportunity with this film, and a lot of its flaws. But like I've said it time and time again in this review, the good outweighed the bad. I didn't realize that going into reviewing it on Letterboxd. I initially was like torn because I was half and half with this film. I like this film, but at the same time, there's a lot that I didn't like about the film. So I was torn halfway, so I went ahead and gave it a 2.5 out of 5. But I was at work today, and while I was working, I was thinking about this film and thinking about things that I more so liked about this film than I disliked about this film. And before I went into this review, I actually changed my my star rating to 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm leaning more towards the fact that this is actually a decent film. It's got its flaws, but you got to keep in mind it is an independent film, and it is also a low budget film. And sometimes you got to look past that and see the genius behind it. So there is some good, and ultimately the flaws and the like I said, the good outweighed the bad for me. So I lean more towards giving it a 3 out of 5 than a 2.5 out of 5.
Wow. So you changed your rating. Is that the first time you've done that?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I've done that once before. But I didn't do that until like after I did a review, because like I've done a review, it was a couple weeks ago, but we did one on a film, and after hearing your view, I was like, wow, actually, you know what? That makes a lot more sense. And so I changed my star rating on that film. But this time I kind of did that beforehand. Yeah, I just ultimately I dug this film, for what it was. It is, you can't go into all these films with a serious tone and trying to critique every little thing, because at the end of the day, this is somebody's passion. This is somebody's essentially artwork, and for what it was, $13,500 to make a film on this magnitude, and just that transform scene alone,
Yeah, that's
all
sick.
practical effects, no CGI. I mean, that's worth something. That's really good.
Like I said,
That's eye for detail.
yeah, it is. When I think about this movie, I think about ambition. That's what comes to mind. It's so ambitious for a little werewolf flick. Like they
Hmm.
throw so much at you. Like I said, some of it works really well, some of it doesn't work. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, this is a guy you could tell that wanted to make a werewolf film, finally got his opportunity and ran with it, wanted to throw everything he was thinking about, you know, putting in his own werewolf film. He finally got a chance to put it in there, and it's like you really see the love and the passion that he had to make this movie. So I kudos to Todd for making his werewolf film and making it like this, man.
Hmm. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's good.
Can't wait to dive into the rest of his filmography too throughout the
Yeah,
month.
I'm looking forward to it. This is just the first one.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to it. Um, yeah, it was a good first time watch. But yeah. Anything else, man?
Well, that's all I got, brother.
All right. Well, if you're ready, we can go ahead and land it.
Land it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us on this episode, and make sure that you check out some of Todd's other stuff. He actually has a good bit of movies on Tubi. I don't know about anywhere else. I'm going to do some more research and find out where else you can find some more of his films, on the cheaper side of watching, or even free for that matter. But yeah, with that, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this episode. Make sure you tell your friends. We are diving into kind of indie territory a little bit, and we love that. So you're going to be seeing a lot more good stuff come out of this segment. But with that, head over to our Facebook group, where we are communicating with you guys all the time. We're sharing stuff, we're posting stuff. You guys are posting stuff. We appreciate that. We appreciate the community and how it's growing. We're almost at 180 in there now. So that's pretty big. That's really big. So yeah, keep telling your friends and keep growing. But yeah, with that, Tony, you got anything you want to add to it?
I don't, man.
All right.
Like I said, just come check us out on the Facebook group. Come join the conversation. We have a good time. Come be a part of it.
Definitely. But yeah, later, guys.
Later.